hydro generator bowl display. So Paronella Park has its own generator system since 1933. It was damaged through time and completely renovated in 2008, and it now produces energy that we use at the park. If we make more on heavy rain day, we export to the grid as well. There's plenty of information for you to read on those boards after the tour. However, if you still have questions, you can find Les at the front. He knows everything about the generator and he'll be able to tell you more about it. So the whole place was the dream of one man, José Paronella. He was born in Catalonia, north of Spain, in 1887. Born from a poor family, he decided to leave school and become a pastry chef. But it's not like that he would build his fortune. He was pretty ambitious. So at the time, Australia was really encouraging immigration. He decided to come here to build his fortune. So he stayed on the ship for weeks to Sydney, starting making his way up to here and joined the mining industry in Western Queensland. Turns out he didn't really enjoy the mining condition, so he decided to come here and join the sugarcane industry. So back in the days, cane was cut by hand, and this area was home to thousands of cane cutters. So he joined the teams, cutting cane, and later was cooking for the team. It was a way for him to upgrade. He was a chef, so a little break from the cutting. But also he realized that it's not like this with cutting canes and cooking that he would become rich. So instead of just spending his money at the pub like his mates, he saved and was soon able to buy a piece of land from the government. He cleared the whole thing himself by hand, planted canes, turned it into a cane farm, and then sold it. In over 10 years, he repeated that 11 more times. So buying a piece of land, clearing the whole thing, planting canes, selling it. He was able to save £30,000, so that's a lot of money. It's about 2 million Australian dollars. He was rich eventually, and it was time for him to go back to Catalonia and marry his promised bride, Matilda. Only problem is, in over 12 years, he didn't write a single letter. So do you think she waited? She didn't. When he returned, everyone thought he died, and she was married with a child. So that was great embarrassment for both families, as it was an arranged marriage. But the mother quickly came up with a solution and said she has a little sister, Margarita. You can just marry the little sister. Margarita was not sure about the idea because she was 14 years younger than José, and also she had her own dreams of moving to Paris to become a fashion designer. Eventually they got married. You know, he was a millionaire, so that's pretty convincing, and went on a great honeymoon all over Europe for months. It's on this honeymoon that José told Margarita about his dream of coming back to Australia and building his European gardens of pleasure in the middle of the rainforest. They came back to Australia and started looking for a piece of land to buy. José knew this area pretty well from when he was cutting canes, and he had his eyes on this property because of the beautiful waterfall, and also because the road at the front was the highway between Cairns and Townsville. So lots of traffic, which is good for business. He went to see the owner. He was a cane farmer, a German cane farmer, and said, "Mate, I've been planting canes for over 10 years. This land is too sloppy, too rocky, you will never grow anything here. But you know what you should do? You should sell it to me." And he convinced the farmer to sell it to him for £120. So that's now about 10,000 Australian dollars. So pretty good deal. He cut everything, and the very first building he built was the cottage for his family to live. So that's where he lived his whole life until he passed away in 1948. The building just behind me is the top castle. That was the entrance to the Paronella Park, where you would buy a ticket to get in. On the left you can see the ice cream fridge, still here in José's ice cream parlor. He had electricity, so he could have all those things, fridge, lighting, everything. And on the top section, that was a small museum filled with dolls, knives, coins that they collected all over Europe during their honeymoon. Of course, being the businessman he would charge you a small fee to get up there and look at his collection. He also put in front of the building the wishing well fountain. So the idea is to turn your back, throw a coin over your shoulder. If it lands on the small top section, that's good luck. If it lands on the larger bottom section, it's bad luck, and you need to try again straight away. So the room was pretty fancy. The floor had polished black pink timber. The windows had blue velvet curtains with gold trims, and the stage behind had red velvet curtains with more gold trims, so pretty fancy. On the weekends, they would do movie nights. So the projector room was just behind the big window at the top. And through the smaller window at the bottom, you could get ice cream directly from José's ice cream parlor. So the ice cream shop was very popular with the local kids, getting old mice just to come here and get ice cream. And also picture this, you're out in the bush in North Queensland in the middle of nowhere in the early 30s, and you could watch Hollywood movies getting ice cream. So that's beautiful. The mirror ball you can see is a replica of José's mirror ball. It was brought from the United States, so it's possibly the very first mirror ball in Australia. The real one was about a meter wide and cost José £600. It's now about $50,000 Australian dollars, so that's 5 times more what he spent on the land. So he liked to show off, pretty expensive, but we have people coming here who visited the park when they were younger, and the first thing they always ask is, do you still have that mirror ball? So it definitely left the long-lasting impression he was aiming for. So that room wasn't used until 1979, when unfortunately during a wedding reception, a fire broke out from the kitchen just over there. Spread it all over the room, got caught up in the curtains, all the way to the top, destroyed the whole place, caved the roof in. Later, Cyclone Winfred took away what was left of the roof, and later Cyclone Larry and Yassi knocked over this big wall and this park over there. So what we do now is really trying to preserve what remains. When you come here, you're really looking at what José built himself. The very first structure José built to join the top and the bottom section of the park, and also to be able to bring up buckets of sand and gravel from the creek to make his concrete to build his buildings like the cottage and the house. On your way up, you will see some green signs on the front of the staircase. These are flood level markers. The top one is from the very worst we had at the park in 1946. That happened when logs and debris from land clearing at the farm, Sugarcane Farm, were washed down the creek all the way to a train bridge, which created a dam, completely stopped the water flow and eventually collapsed. So when the wave came here, the water was higher than the building, and all the way up to the windows in the Grand Ballroom. So big disaster for the park. It took José 6 months to reopen. The picnic area was very popular with the locals and for people traveling between Cairns and Townsville for a break. You used to be able to swim in the pool. Today I'm going to ask you not to. Do you have any idea why?
Yeah, so signs.
Of course, yeah. So they were probably here back in the days when José was here. But at the time we had a different way to deal with them if we didn't want them here, you know. We don't do that anymore because they became protected spaces in 1974. So please do not go in the water today if you want to. The pool was very popular during World War II. There were a lot of soldiers in Queensland and they used to come to the park to have a little bit of fun and take their mind off the war. José will not allow them in the park in their uniforms. So he would rent them a swimming costume to be able to enjoy the pool, charging a small fee, of course. You may have noticed the changing room as we worked here. They used to have wooden doors and they were for people to change as they come and go to the pool. Again, if you wanted to use them, you had to pay a small fee, obviously. So this building was the cafe by the pool. You could sit inside and have this beautiful view of the waterfall. You could also come to the picnic area without food, order from the cafe, and they would bring it to you at the tables. So on the right side you have a picture, and on the top here a live band who play music to entertain the guests. So pretty cool. The inside was quite fancy, like the ballroom. It has a very strict dress code. Ladies had to wear gowns and men had to wear 3-piece suits, so just perfect for the tropics, as you can imagine. The fountain just here was not always here. It was built by José's son Joe after his dad passed away as a memorial to his father. So it is gravity fed from the waterfall. They have no pumps. This part was the sports area. So instead of the water of the fountain, you had a bocce pit, and here you had 2 tennis courts made from crushed termites mounds and rolled down flat with the concrete roller that José built himself. It's still there. We're gonna walk past it. The biggest trees you can see at the back are curry trees. They're native from North Queensland, and you can also find them on Fraser Island. So they take up to 300 years to grow full size. They are about 100 years old now, so still a lot of work to do. They can be 4 meters wide. So these ones have been planted by José himself. He knew he would never see them full size, but he left them for the future generations, which is pretty cool. That's a nice spot to take pictures. You've got bamboos, you've got trees, and if you can see from here how good of a self-made architect José was, because if you turn around, you've got this again this beautiful framing of the waterfall. He really knew how to make the best of the park. So the building right there, do you have any idea of what that could be? That was a toilet block. That was the toilet castle. That was the toilet block for the bottom section. It had flushing toilets. So in the cottage. So in the cottage they had flushing toilets, running water, electricity in the 30s. So just so you know, the grid didn't come to this area until the 60s. So they were 30 years ahead. Everyone called José a madman, the crazy Spanish guy down the road, but he was pretty, he brought all these technologies from Europe during the honeymoon, and he was pretty advanced. All good, so we're gonna go to Lover's Lane and the Tunnel of Love. You can stop for a minute, have a look inside, and you will literally see the light at the end of the tunnel. You don't want to stay too long in front of the tunnel, you will understand why. So Lover's Lane, as you can see, is pretty wide. José is a romantic, and he wanted couples who were exploring the park to be able to hold hands. So José really likes it if couples hold hands on Lover's Lane, just saying. José first came here when he was digging clay from the hill to make his render on the walls. When he came up with the idea to build fish tanks, fill them up with water, and create an underground aquarium. The ticket box would have been just there where the windows is, and of course he would have charged you a small fee to look at the fish. Unfortunately, he realized that the concrete didn't hold water. So he found out that instead it was a pretty good place to grow mushrooms. So they were growing mushrooms in the tunnel that they would serve at the cafe. He still lit up the tunnel at night, which attracted insects, which attracted bats. So we always had a few bats in the tunnel, but since we closed it 10 years ago, about 10 years ago, for structure and safety reasons, they just multiply, and we now have thousands of them. They are called bent-wing microbats, just the size of my thumbs, and they eat half of their body weight of insects every night. So we're pretty grateful to have them. They're the reason why we don't have many bugs here, no mosquitoes. Even if you come at night, you don't get bitten, so that's pretty cool. On the other side of the tunnel, you have the secret garden that you will be able to explore after the tour. You also have Teresa Falls. So Teresa Falls was named after José's daughter, Teresa. That happened when he found out that the big waterfall at the front was named after someone else's daughter, Mina. So he wanted his own waterfall as well. When he discovered the smaller one at the back, he created a replica of the big one using concrete to create 3 separate streams, like at the front, and gave it as a present to his daughter on her 8th birthday. So pretty cool gift. Alright, I'm gonna wrap up the story now and leave you to explore. So after the big flood in 1946, it took 6 months for José to reopen. He never reopened the bottom section, only the top. Café by the pool was damaged beyond repair, so that's pretty sad. 18 months later, José passed away from stomach cancer at 60, leaving the park to Margarita and his son Joe. In 49, Teresa got married and moved to Brisbane. In 65, the highway was moved out the front, which created less traffic and financial problems for the park. It was not the best time for Margarita, who decided to go on a holiday in Europe to visit a family and to visit all the places they went on the honeymoon together. Unfortunately, while she was in Scotland, she passed away from a heart attack. She was brought back to Australia, and she is now resting next to José in Innisfail Cemetery. Yeah, so that left the park for Joe, his son Joe, and his wife Val for another 5 years, until unfortunately Joe also passed away from a heart attack. He was in his early 30s, so that's pretty sad, leaving his wife, Val, and his 2 boys behind. So in 1977, Teresa and Val decided it was time to move on and to sell the park to someone with the time, the passion, and the energy to care for it. The new owners had the park for only 2 years before the Grand Ballroom fire. So the park was left behind and mostly disused for about 14 years. Until a young couple, Mark and Judy Evans, were traveling around Australia in a caravan and their 3 kids, looking for a place, either a motel, caravan park to buy and settle for a while. They came to this area and asked the real estate agent to find them something interesting. So the real estate agent came back and said, I've got a caravan park near Innisfail. It has a castle and a waterfall. So pretty unique. They came here and fell in love with the place and bought it in 1993 for $400,000. So there's a lot more to the story we don't have time for in a short tour. Up there in the shop we sell a book called The Spanish Dreamer. It has the whole story and lots of photographs through the years, so pretty interesting to read. So Judy, so they bought the land and started creating the whole thing, and just 4 weeks after they reopened, an elderly lady walked at the front when Mark welcomed her and started telling her how great of a place she came to visit and offered her to jump on the tour. She said, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to stop you here and introduce myself. My name is Teresa, daughter of José Paronella, and actually I grew up here and I'd like to take you on a tour. So she brought Mark and Judy down here for more than 2 hours, telling them stories about her childhood, about the park. It was amazing, a great time. They became really good friends until flying foxes. They became good friends until she passed away in 2008. So today Mark and Judy still own the park. They live just around the corner. They had a 10 years business plan and it's now 30 years. So they're still very much passionate and involved about it. Judy is now our general manager. She takes care of a lot of things, including the staffing. So between Paronella Park, the Mammoth Skywalk and the Mina Creek Hotel, that's more than 70 people employed here. We don't get any financial support. Our only income is when people like you come to enjoy the park. So on behalf of Mark and Judy, I'd like to thank you, everyone, for your support. That's very much appreciated. Thank you for your attention. I hope you liked the tour. I'm now going to leave you to explore the gardens by yourself. So on this small path you have the secret garden and Teresa Pool. If you go over there you have the turtle nesting where you can feed the turtles. If you haven't registered for your 2 years free pass, just make sure you stop at the desk on your way out. You just need to put your phone number in the system. And also if you want to join for a night tour, that's included in your ticket. Again, you just need to stop at the desk and write down your names on the list. If anyone needs a car lift back up, you can explore by yourself. Just sit and wait at the tennis court. There's a guide coming every 30 minutes and you can ask them to organize the lift up for you. Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank